I'm here to speak, as you've heard often, I think, in recent meetings, in support of some action to be taken with regard to the visual blight on the sidewalks of Walla Walla, especially downtown. It's by any estimation as a graffiti, it's defacement of public sidewalks, and it's visual blight that I'm confident, notwithstanding the Bledsoe case, which I've read, and I am not licensed to practice in Washington. I don't purport to practice law, but I have an interest in public issues. Notwithstanding that case, and based on the long supported idea of reasonable time, manner, place restrictions on free speech, I'm confident this council can pass an ordinance that effectively bans that type of graffiti, that type of defacement, that type of visual blight on at least the prime tourist-driven corridor of downtown and the adjoining side streets. So I speak in support of any efforts that may be underway to address the issue, but particularly if they might take the form of an ordinance creating a chalk-free zone. And I also...
I'm David Schmaltz. I live on Blue Street in Walla Walla, and I'm here tonight to remind the council and city staff that you promised the citizens of this city a resolution on the continuing graffiti, chalking, blemishing our downtown sidewalks. I appreciate this situation's difficulty, with the court judgment curiously considering chalk gang tags to somehow represent an exercise of free speech rather than run-of-the-mill defacing. Those of us who have been working to erase these obscenities do not quite understand why city staff doesn't take the lead in keeping our sidewalks clean, since they seem to hold responsibility for maintaining them. We do not understand why our city can't live up to what it holds every individual citizen to live up to. I have to maintain my sidewalk, so I can't appreciate why the city can't live up to this modest expectation for its own sidewalks. We who do work to keep our downtown sidewalks clean perform our duty for good reasons. We take pride in our city, and we fear our community has lost prestige as this condition has continued unresolved for many, many, many glaring months. I'm here this evening to plead with our city attorney and this council to find some reason to help us eliminate this ongoing humiliation. I repeat that we are offended by the exception this perpetrator enjoys. If I were to chalk the mayor's sidewalks, he could file a complaint against me for violating a city ordinance against graffiti, even if my graffiti was not considered obscene. This continuing misuse of our public space constitutes the intolerable obscenity, regardless of the content, which, as graffiti, couldn't be less relevant. It defaces our public spaces and therefore remains intolerable. You are now in grave danger of appearing indifferent to a serious, ongoing situation. Your credibility hangs in this curious balance. So please, please, please propose some resolution now. Thank you.
Yeah, Brian Doe.
Please identify yourself and you'll have 3 minutes.
Hi there, I'm Brian Doe. I reside at 14 North Clinton. My question tonight is, does anyone own the problem of hate speech on the sidewalks of downtown Walla Walla? Is anyone coordinating a response? Flower pots and holiday decorations are cute, but the hate speech detracts from our town's beauty. There surely must be some organization that can take ownership and lead a response to this. It might be the city of Walla Walla. It might be the Downtown Walla Walla Foundation, Visit Walla Walla, even Grace Church. the Walla Walla Valley Chamber of Commerce, or the Walla Walla Valley Alliance. But surely there's someone that could take ownership of this and begin to address this. I'm tired of no action being taken. Thank you.
That. The second thing I would say is this, as the only openly gay person sitting at this dais, I've said this before and I will say it again. I do take the hate speech quite seriously. It is quite threatening. I feel every time I see it like my personal safety is in question, but I do have to ask some of the people that are commenting about rhetoric. When you say the council's homophobic, or you say all of our credibility at risk, do you have any idea to an openly gay man what that sounds like? Do you have any idea when someone like myself, who's been an activist for over 20 years, who marched for marriage equality, who's actually been the victim of hate crime, who actually has to live with what you're seeing downtown said to them every single day in one form or another? Do you understand how that comes off? Do you understand how LGBTQ people in the city hear that? I appreciate that there's a lot of anger about it, and I believe the city staff when they say they're working on it, but I have to ask, when you bring up that you hate that the chalking is downtown, do you hate it because of what's being said, or because it's being said in a public place that everyone who isn't a member of the LGBTQ community has to see it? Because I've been hearing that for 37 years. I heard it when I got myself nearly beaten to death in college because I came out as gay. I heard it when I was sexually abused as a kid. So I would just encourage the people that are advocating to be mindful of the privilege that you wear if you're not a member of the LGBTQ community. Be mindful of how some of the things that you say, especially to those of us who have our safety in question every single day and who have lived an entire lifetime hearing that, be mindful of how we're hearing what you say. Part of being a good ally, part of being a part of the solution is recognizing that when you're advocating for a marginalized community, when you are advocating for people who are actively being victimized, like transgender people or gay people, you need to think about how they're hearing the things that you say and not assume that you're speaking for all of us, and really think about the damage it does when you attack public officials and make generalized statements about credibility. Because I will tell you, on a personal level, that makes me feel just as unsafe as whatever Henry over there decides to write. Thank you.
Any other comments? I thank those again who have commented. With respect to the chalking issue, Mr. Sampson, we got your email earlier, and we've heard from some of the other comments prior evenings that we've heard again this evening, which is not to say we don't want to hear them anymore. We take them seriously. I know our city attorney takes very seriously the issue and the concern that you and others have expressed, and is working on an ordinance that will hopefully, from his perspective, which I respect, pass muster legally, so we don't worry about getting a lawsuit filed against us for First Amendment rights. And we're hopeful. I'm not putting you, Mr. Donaldson, on the spot, but we've talked about sometime early this year to get an ordinance from you that will, from your perspective, hopefully address many of these issues and not run afoul of the law. We're still working in that regard. Is that correct?
It'll be no later than the first meeting in February. I was hoping to have it done by the next council meeting, the last meeting in January, but I have other responsibilities that I have to attend to.
Mr. Donaldson, thank you very much. And I've reviewed many of the legal pleadings and other contacts that Mr. Donaldson has prepared, and am always impressed by their thoroughness. And I trust that he'll maintain his standards with respect to this chalking issue. So we're not going to written in stone hold him to that, but hopefully on our first meeting in February, for those who have spoken this evening in person or via Zoom or listening in, please put that date on your calendar and we'll hear from Mr. Donaldson and you, and we'll hopefully have something that will move us forward to address the problem that we all agree is a problem. Ms. Clark?